last year. I kept it right where it was. Rory McIlroy will finally win the Masters. This is the year. You know what? I'll even say this. You can book it. You can book it.
Wow, I've never heard that one before.
Rory will win the Masters tournament in April this year.
Book it. Man, one of these years you got to be right because
have to be.
It's just wild. It's officially been a decade since he's won a major. It just blows my mind with how good a player he is.
And I've been picking him to win every single major probably for 6 years at least now.
Oh, I think it goes back. I think we started predicting that in 2017. We started predicting majors, so it goes back that far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is real.
It's kind of turned into a running joke at this point until he wins one. Yeah.
You can even get your I'm Taking Rory t-shirt on TNJManShowStore.com.
Yes, sir.
I need to start plugging that more this year. We need to get some merch out the door a little bit. My number one was similar to last year. I just added another year to it, and I really do think it's a bold one as of right now. Purdue basketball will three-peat as Big Ten champions.
Interesting. I vehemently disagree.
I figured you would, and no, Illinois is playing as good as anybody right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to take probably some upset wins here or there, and they can't really afford to lose to somebody they're not supposed to lose to. But, hey, until somebody knocks off the champs, I'm going with it.
That's fair. Neither one seed will make the Super Bowl this year.
All right.
I do not think the Chiefs are all that great, and I think they get knocked off maybe even in the divisional round, depending on who they play. And then the Lions, I think they're too – I wouldn't say they're too gimmicky, but I think just like last year, Dan Campbell's aggressiveness is going to catch up with him against some better teams. And I'm pretty confident in the Chiefs will not make the Super Bowl this year prediction. The Lions less so. But I just feel like somebody's going to upset them, go in there and upset them.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing totally. I think I would like the upset pick of somebody beating the Lions more if the Lions didn't have home field advantage.
That's fair.
I think they're very difficult to beat at Ford Field. I was telling my wife last night that I thought whoever won that game, of course, being a one seed is kind of dumb now saying that's out loud, had a real good chance to win the NFC because both teams are so good at home.
Right.
I said the loser, and I'm not trying to show my cards yet because we'll do predictions later, but I said the loser might have a real tough time beating the Rams at LA. So,
yeah. And of course, obviously the Chiefs are nearly unbeatable at home, but they have they're not completely invincible this year as they have been.
Right.
I mean, you look at I know point differential is kind of a stupid metric, but you look at it, and yesterday skewed it a little bit, definitely.
Sure.
But they coming into yesterday, the Broncos had a plus 40 point differential better than what the Chiefs had, and they were the one seed. So, the Chiefs have kind of skated by, gotten real lucky a lot of times, and that voodoo magic they got going on, it's going to run out eventually, and I think this is the year it does.
Well, and I feel like not enough people are talking about the fact now that resting most of their starters yesterday and having a bye week now this week, their starters are going to go like 20-some days without playing a live snap in a game. So,
yeah, could absolutely catch up. I mean, we've seen it catch up with teams in the past. I mean, you can even point to the college football playoff this year, how rusty Oregon looked. For one, Georgia didn't look good either. So, yeah, I mean, it just you never know. Now, at the same time, I mean, the Chiefs have been in this position about every single year. It seems like where they get the bye and they already have it. Last year was a little different, but yeah, I think resting your players definitely makes sense to keep them healthy. But at the same time, you got to kind of think, okay, we need to have them play some meaningful football, which they really hadn't in a while because they had such a big lead for the one seed, and obviously they locked it up a few weeks ago. But so it'll be interesting. They are the Chiefs. They are a scary dynasty, I'll call them at this point. But I just feel like something's off this year with them.
Yep, that's a good one, though. I like it. My number 2, Purdue will be the only team from the state of Indiana to make the NCAA tournament.
That's pretty bold, too.
It is.
But at the same time, I think they're the only one projected in the field right now anyway. So
yeah, it wouldn't shock me, of course, to see Indiana get in.
they had a good win.
They had a good win yesterday on the road at Penn State. Notre Dame's not going to make it. Butler's definitely not going to make it. Butler needs to go back to the Horizon League. I'm halfway joking about that.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the other schools wins their conference tournament and makes it. But I don't think any of them are strong this year. I could be wrong though.
No, I know Indiana State. They lost their coach and then lost their best player, Avila. They're okay, but they're still kind of down. Haven't heard anything about Evansville or PFW or any of those schools this year.
Ball State or Valpo, none.
Valpo, I think, won 6 games last year, and they're better this year. But I follow them a little bit just because Roger Powell's their head coach. But
what's their nickname now? It's not the Crusaders.
I couldn't tell you.
It's the gosh darn it! It's on the tip of my tongue. But well, you can go ahead with your third, and I'll look it up. The Beacons.
That's right. Yeah. My third one I also had on my list, I believe, last year, but the Buffalo Bills will win their first Super Bowl. It pains me to say. I just feel like their time's coming. And unfortunately, I think it's this year that's going to happen. Maybe Baltimore can get there because Lamar needs one for sure at this point because I think he'll win another MVP. But, yeah.
Well, I think both quarterbacks need one. Lamar and Josh.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was talking to my dad today after work, and I'm like, if Denver goes in there and beats them, I think the heat will definitely be on McDermott, but I think it should definitely be on Josh Allen as well.
Sure. My number 3, Zach Edey will win the NBA Rookie of the Year.
That's a good one. Who else would be top rookies? I know it's a down class, and none of those guys are really doing anything besides Edey.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I've only been keeping up with Zach, and he's been producing pretty well, so that's why I say that. I'm not sure who's even up in contention for it besides him. Well, maybe it's not too bold, but he's got to stay healthy, of course.
Yeah. My fourth one here, the Cubs will win the NL Central. I flipped it from last year.
I like it. Got a positive J-Man 25-25. Look at this.
As of right now, on paper, they're the best team, but that doesn't mean anything. On paper, they were probably the best team last year.
Yeah, the Brewers weren't going in on paper close to the best team. And
Brewers have lost a lot, too, and hopefully that'll catch up with them eventually, but they just have some sort of magic down there, too. But if not,
playoffs.
Then probably, yeah. If not, I think you have to fire Jed. You have to. You just have to.
Yeah. My number 4, another basketball-related one, my last basketball-related one for tonight. I was trying to go 5 for 5 with basketball and couldn't come up with a fifth. I did come up with a fourth. The Oklahoma City Thunder will win the NBA championship.
I almost put that as one of my bold predictions this week, and I'm glad I did.
Darn good.
They are very good. It'd be interesting to see. Of course, we don't really follow the NBA that much, but they're good, and Cleveland's good. It'd be interesting to see what their ratings would be like if it's Cleveland Cavs versus Oklahoma.
Not good. Not good. It's not LeBron against Durant.
No. Yeah. The NBA already are struggling with ratings.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how the NBA tries to collude against the non-big markets. They'll probably somehow find the Lakers in there against the Celtics or Knicks in there against whoever. So
Knicks are the 3 seed as of right now in the East. The Lakers are the 6th seed in the West. I was shocked to see the Rockets as a 2 seed in the West right now.
They're good, and then they're young too.
Yeah.
And they made some good free agent moves a few years ago, signing Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks as well. That's kind of helped switch the culture down there because it was a lot of super young guys, and they were just like throwing lobs to each other and doing some dumb stuff. Now you got some actual winners in there now. So
they've definitely, that fan base has taken their lumps through the past decade.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you had the good teams with Harden and Chris Paul, and those ended up being a disaster. And
before that, you had Yao and Tracy McGrady, but you never really couldn't get over the hump. So
my last one here is very bold. The University of Illinois football team will make the college football playoff next year.
Wow. And J-Man's back on the bandwagon, everybody. I
am keeping them at an arm's length. I liked my fandom this year where I didn't really get too into it. But return 18 starters. They have gotten about every single player has announced they're coming back. including all 5 offensive linemen. You lose 2 wide receivers. So 18 of your 22 starters.
Get your QB back.
Get your quarterback back, who had a really good year this year.
And you go and get a pretty serviceable backup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ethan Hampton. Yeah, that was the one question mark this year, is if Altmaier gets hurt, which he had an injury the previous year. But now they have a guy that can at least, maybe not fall off too hard when your backup comes in. But the schedule is favorable as well. Their big non-con game is at Duke. And then their 2 biggest, I would say, toughest conference games are at Indiana and Ohio State at home. Other than that, though, it's a pretty easy schedule on paper. Again, who knows how teams will be next year. But it sets up to at least win 10 games back-to-back years, which is unheard of. Winning 10 games once at Illinois is unheard of. So
yeah, if they do that, Illinois might have to back up the Brinks trucks to keep Bielema from a big program.
Yeah, Iowa fans are already saying he's theirs once Ferentz retires.
Oh, boy. Didn't he put that together?
Yeah, that's where Bielema went. He has a tattoo of Iowa, I think, on his calf or something.
Could be on his butt. But
yeah, it could be. But he seems to be pretty happy there. Obviously, he's their best coach they've had this century easily.
Yeah. No, what he did this year was very impressive. Win 10 games.
Yeah.
Beat a good SEC team in the bowl game. That was impressive.
And yeah, South Carolina fans are kind of public enemy number one, because they've been all over Illinois for playing within the rules with the whole. So what happened was South Carolina runs guys on real late on offense to get an advantage. So what Illinois does, okay, we're going to take our time and bring players on as well. And they had to take multiple timeouts because they were going to get delay games. They got a delay game. And South Carolina fans said it was Bush League when they were doing the exact same thing to try to get an edge. So then Bielema hits them back trying to get an edge as well, and they didn't like it. So I don't know where South Carolina fans have this heightened sense of worth. I don't get where that came from, because they've been trash for a long time now. So yeah, anyway.
Yep, that's a good one. My 5th final one's golf related. The PGA Tour and LIV will come to a full agreement / partnership.
There you go.
They're getting close. I don't even know. I don't know what's really holding everything up. They're getting really close. It seems like it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when, not if. So I think it happens sometime this year.
I wonder how that will look.
I don't know. It's going to be strange. And, what do you do about the guys who left and took the big paydays? I mean, are they just going to be welcomed back with open arms? It's interesting. There's things I like about LIV Tour and things I don't like. And same thing with PGA Tour. So if they could find a way to mix all the good things into one, it'd be great for the fans, because the fans are the ones ultimately who are losing out the most in this, because,
for sure.
Especially the casual fans who just like to watch the 4 big majors of the year, and you're not getting all the best players in the world anymore. So, but we'll see. As of right now, they're still separate, going forward with their schedules and everything, which I'm hoping to get to a LIV event. Indiana hosts one in August outside of Indianapolis this year, down in I think it's the Westfield area, I believe. So
yeah, I remember Bolingbrook hosted one back in September, I believe, which is just 12 miles.
They do again this year. I think.
It is the number one. I believe it's a public course too. It's the number one public course in Illinois, supposedly. I've never been out there, but
I've heard they're really fun events to go through. A lot different than the PGA Tour events from a couple of people I've talked to that have been to them. So cool. But good 5, good start to the list.
I got to come up with 20 more somehow.
I know, and I'm going to try to mix in a couple of all different sports. So.
You don't have any Olympics this year to fall back on either.
No, I don't have that layup. Don't have a Caitlin Clark getting drafted number 1 either.
We will have a repeat World Series winner for the first time since 2000. I think the LA Dodgers win it again, unfortunately. They're likely going to get Roki Sasaki as well. This week, it sounds like he's going to sign somewhere, who is an elite Japanese level He is an elite level Japanese prospect. Throws 102 miles an hour. So it's Japan is almost just like a feeder team for feeder country for the LA Dodgers. Oh, the Cubs have two Japanese players, but yeah, I think too talented not to at least be there again.
I went with all NFL tonight.
All right.
My first one for tonight, Aaron Rodgers has taken his last snap as he will retire this offseason.
He should. I think that's bold, though, because I think he wants to come back, but I don't know if any team will want him.
I about went bold putting him on a random team, but
Carolina Panthers.
Well, really, the team that I had in mind was Indianapolis Colts. So
yeah, they like the old ones, don't they? They like the old guys.
yes, they do.
Shohei Ohtani will not win the MVP this year. Don't ask me who's going to, because I don't know. But Shohei will not, even though he is. That's very bold because he'll be back pitching this year too. So he'll hit 60 homers and have an ERA under 2, and then he'll win it again. But will not.
And you can add a lot more insight to my next bold prediction, but I put Tyreek Hill would be traded before the start of the season.
I would say that is 50-50. So semi bold.
Yeah.
It seems like his time in Miami is done. Doesn't seem like a great locker room guy. You go out, you pay for a diva wide receiver, you're going to get a diva wide receiver, and that's what they've gotten. And I would be very okay with him off the roster because, for one, he didn't have a great year this year anyway. His speed seems down, doesn't have great hands to begin with, and he's small. So I don't think he'll age very well. So if the Dolphins are smart, I think they'll try to trade him this offseason. The New York Mets, after signing Juan Soto to a $765 million contract, will not make the playoffs this year.
Where do I sign? That's funny. This one's not maybe too bold because I also think it's kind of 50-50 here. The Tennessee Titans will select quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick.
Sounds like they like him. Yep. It's so early, though. There will be some name. Yeah, some name that no one's even talking about right now pop up, and it'll be a top 10 pick. It happens every year, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a smart prediction right now. This is probably not very bold either, but Illinois point guard Kaspara Yakachaunis is Illinois' highest drafted player since D-Will. Haven't had too many guys drafted since D-Will. But Myers Leonard went 11th, and D-Will went 3rd, and I think KJ will be somewhere in between there. He is a consensus lottery pick right now, but I've seen a lot of guys have him in the top 5 here recently. I think he'll definitely be in the top 10.
Travis Kelce will retire after the 2025 season.
Could definitely see that. Yeah, that's a good bold prediction though, because he seemed to step slow. I mean, he's 35 now, so it's gonna happen. Yeah. My last one here: 10 Big Ten teams will make the NCAA tournament. Half the league. I'm gonna go Illinois, Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, Oregon, Wisconsin. Indiana, I got to throw in there, unfortunately. And then I also have Nebraska in there because I think they're pretty good. They had a rough week, but I think they're pretty good. Who am I missing? UCLA. I think UCLA is going to bounce back. That's my hope, anyway, that they can get in the NCAA tournament. And my last one here, I think Maryland is good enough.
No Iowa.
No, I don't think Iowa's that great. They had a good week, and maybe their big comeback win against Nebraska will propel them up. I want it to be said, though, that these teams are not part of my bold prediction.
No, just 10. Just 10. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
So could be Iowa. I think Penn State's solid, too, even though they also had a rough week like Nebraska did. And they had a really weak non-conference, so they got to start getting hot and big.
Yeah.
10. Half the league.
Yep. My last one for this week, and maybe this is more just me being a fanboy and really hoping, but the Denver Broncos will win the AFC West.
That's bold.
Somebody's going to knock these dummies from Kansas City off, whether it's the Chargers or the Broncos. They won 9 straight.
Yeah, watch
somebody's got to.
Raiders hire Ben Johnson. They win 15 games next year.
You're probably right.
That'd be the worst.
That would not be fun.
Yeah. I think a quarter of the Big Ten gets to the Sweet 16 this year, or a quarter of the teams in the Sweet 16 are Big Ten teams. I screwed that up. So I think it's Illinois, Michigan. I screwed up my wording. A quarter of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16 are Big Ten teams. So 4 of them. You are muted, so I cannot hear you. There
wow.
you
I said, wow.
I think the 4 teams that are best set up to go to the Sweet 16 are Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, and I'm going to throw Michigan in there. I
You don't think Michigan State, huh?
Not a believer. I just don't think they have the offense. I know they won yesterday, and I don't even want to think about that game anymore.
Need to get my high knees up. Need to get my knees up.
Okay. I'm not a believer in Michigan State, and I don't even think they're going to finish top 4 in the league.
All right.
Big win for them yesterday, 8-on-5 all game long. And it's easy, and they still about lost. Should have lost, honestly.
That's the reason I was rooting for them, J-Man. I wanted Illinois to get their 3rd conference loss because I think they're much better than Michigan State is.
Yeah, Illinois at 6-2, I think would have been scary for a lot of teams.
Sure.
But now,
there's a lot of season left.
They'll be favored in like their next 8, likely. So.
Well, if I could sign on the dotted line to get Purdue in the Sweet 16 right now, sign me up, especially if they're a top 3 seed, being that Indianapolis is a regional host.
Right.
I would love that. And I think you can agree with me here when I'm saying, we were just talking about Big Ten standings a little bit. As I get older, I realize, I know conference championships aren't Final Fours or national titles, but still, you want something to hang your hat on for the season. Yeah. I don't want Purdue. Well, not only do I want them to three-peat, of course, but I don't want it to be like 3 seasons ago where they had a very good team, Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, and those guys, but they had nothing to show for it. No Big Ten title, no Big Ten tournament title, and bounced by a 15 seed in Sweet 16.
Yeah, no one even talks about that team anymore. I kind of
not at all. Not at all.
We were both lucky last year. Purdue won regular season. Illinois wins the tournament. And
both make deep runs.
Deep runs. So
yep.
It is nice to get one of those 2, either regular season or a tourney champ, just to have something. So I'm with you.
Well, my first one is Big Ten basketball related as well. I said the Big Ten will have 1 team make the Final Four.
That's a good lead into my next one. I think Illinois makes their first Final Four since 2005.
There you go. As you put it out to the universe now.
I know.
Man, I think your bold predictions for the year: Illinois football making the playoffs, Illinois basketball making the Final Four.
I think this Illinois team's built for March, and I think they get, obviously Yakichonis missed 2 games. They lose to USC, fouls out in 8 minutes yesterday. And they almost went in Michigan State, and they lose by 2. I just feel, for whatever reason, this is the highest I've been on an Illinois team in years. I just think they have so much that can turn around for them. Obviously, they're having a good season anyway. The crazy thing is they win their next 2, they'll be 15-5. And through 20 games, each of the last 5 seasons, they have been 15-5, 15-5, 14-6, 15-5, and 15-5. So remarkably consistent through 20 games. And I just think KJ is built for March. And I think having the 2 European guys who, have played in professional leagues in front of crazy fans and high stakes and all that, I don't think playing in an NCAA tournament will affect them as much. And unfortunately, I put it out there in the universe. But I agree with you. I think one Big Ten team kind of surprises and makes the Final Four, honestly. Because
I agree with a lot of you said. Illinois is so talented across the board. They're very dangerous. I think for them to make a Final Four or a championship, they need to get a top 3 seed.
Yeah, definitely.
The 4-5. You could definitely beat a 1 seed in Sweet 16, but if you can stay away from the 1 seed as long as possible, that's ideal.
I'd much rather be a 6 seed than a 4.
Especially if you got like a 1 seed of a Auburn.
Yeah,
or somebody like that.
Yeah, Auburn's tough. So yeah, they definitely. And right now, I think Lenardi has them as a 3. At least he did coming into yesterday, and I can't imagine they dropped too much. But definitely need to be. You don't want to have to face a 1 until the 8. Until the Elite 8. So. Sorry,
I froze there for a little bit. So
that's all right.
I think I'm back there.
I wasn't saying anything interesting.
It's me up next, right?
Yep, number 2.
Victor Hovland will win the Masters. Golfer that's still relatively young, and he hasn't won a major. I think he's knocking on the door. I want to go with somebody that's up there in the top 10 of the favorites, but not like a Rory, for instance. So I think Victor gets it done.
Yeah. Another college basketball one here. I think we have a first-time national title winner, whether that's Auburn or maybe even an Iowa State. I know they had a rough one in West Virginia over the weekend. But I feel like we have a team that will win their first one ever. And once Auburn gets their best player back, I think they're winning without him. So
yeah, they're good. They're really good.
You saw them firsthand against Purdue in the neutral court, and they were awfully impressive.
Yep. That's a good one. My next 3 are all college football related. 2025 will be Deion Sanders' last season at Colorado.
Okay.
I think he returns. I don't think he gets the Dallas job. But then I don't think the year goes quite as well as last few. And then I don't know what comes along. I don't know if it's Florida State. I don't know if it's an NFL opportunity. But I think 1 year not coaching his sons out there, he's done.
Yeah, I agree. I think we see one prominent college basketball coach step down again. I mean, we've seen Jay Wright and Tony Bennett. In this one, this is not part of my bold prediction, but I would not be surprised if we hear Bill Self's name as the guy that steps down. I don't think this Kansas team is very good. They came into the year ranked number 1, didn't they, or close to it?
Yes.
And
2 years in a row.
Yeah, and they struggled last year and ended up getting beat in the round of 32. They're not looking all that impressive this year. I mean, Hunter Dickinson's getting paid a ton of money, and he just hasn't been as good as he was his freshman or sophomore year at Michigan. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a team or a coach of a team that's been perennially, top 20 program over the past 5 seasons step down, whether that's a Bill Self or somebody else.
I like that prediction. I could see Izzo maybe retiring.
Izzo for sure, yeah.
Calipari, it's not going well.
Forced out of there.
He's lost it. He's lost it. He's absolutely lost it.
Yeah.
So my next one, Alabama will fire Kalen DeBoer after the 2025 season.
Ruthless.
I think they missed the playoff again. Even if they go 9-3, 8-4, that's not good enough. 2 years, you're done.
Yeah, I think it's playoff or bust for him next year. My last one here, another college basketball one. IU fires Woody, and for some reason, they have this thing where we got to get an Indiana guy, and they did it with Mike Woodson. It's been a disaster. I think now is the time Steve Alford comes home, and they hire Steve Alford. I'm not saying that'll be good, not saying it'll be bad. I just think now's if they haven't done it yet, why not now?
Yeah, I think he's at the perfect place for him now. I think he's a better coach at this level.
Definitely.
But no, I could see it. They'll swing at Brad Stevens. They'll try to bring the brink trucks to Nate Oates, Bruce Pearl, guys like that. They need to, I'd be fine with them being mediocre to bad the rest of my life. But in all honesty, if I'm an Indiana fan, which I'm not, what they need to do is get someone, like you said about Purdue football, somebody who's not going to win the press conference, just a good coach at the end of the day. Kind of like they did in football. I mean, Siggs has some quotable things, but yes, he does. I mean, assuming Woodson gets fired next year, they'll be on their 6th head coach since Purdue hired Matt Painter.
That's crazy.
4th in a decade.
Nate Oates or Bruce Pearl would scare me to death because I think both of those guys are really good coaches. Scott Drew wouldn't do a whole lot for me. Brad Stevens hated recruiting and all that game back in 2012. They think he's going to magically like it now?
Yeah.
It might be more like the NBA now.
And he's been out of coaching for a while.
Long time. And he's got a pretty sweet gig there as GM, president, whatever he is at the Celtics. I mean, they just want to
doing pretty good at it too. Yeah.
Pretty dang good at it. So I think that's pipe dream. But those other guys I could see. I don't think Indiana has the lore it used to. But
they missed the opportunity to get Dusty May.
And I'm thankful for that too. So
unless you would jump in conference, I guess, which could always happen nowadays. And Mark Few, I think the ship sailed for anybody to get him.
They're looking rough now. I don't know if they're going to make the tourney at this point.
They lost a home conference game. That never happens.
Santa Clara, and they got beat by Oregon State last week as well. That's a talented roster too. I don't know what's going on there.
Sure. In my last one, someone from the Big Ten will win the 2025 season college football playoff. So if Ohio State wins tonight, I have the Big Ten going for a three-peat. How mad would the SEC be at that? How much money would start flowing down Tuscaloosa, Baton Rouge, and Austin if that happened? It's not about facilities anymore. It's just about cash.
It's going to be Indiana too. You know that, right? They're going to be the one that wins it to make the three-peat.
I just want them to go back. I'm fine if they win a game. Just go back to being.
No, Notre Dame's going to win this year. IU's going to win next year.
You'll be looking for new co-hosts because I just won't be here.
Woody's going to get things turned around. They're going to win a title this year too.
That 1 point overtime win against Ohio State's going to get them going.
Yeah.
I actually might get them on a little win streak though.
I'll give them credit though because they lose by 25 in Iowa. Come home, look so disinterested. Of course, Illinois punched him in the mouth early. And I said, I will give myself credit. On Monday, I said, after Illinois lost to USC and looked just listless and all that, like I said, I would not want to be Indiana on Tuesday. And sure enough, Illinois gets up 20 early, and IU gave up. The only fight they showed was when Omar Ballo came in with a little push there at the end. But I'll give him credit for sticking together, and I think Woody showed incredible leadership, and he deserves at least a 3-year extension.
I say build him a statue.
Build him a statue. Lifetime.
Start on it now.
Check. Keep him there forever. So.
What do you got for me today?
My first one is the White Sox break their own record for losses in a season.
I thought you might say like the White Sox lose only 99 games or something.
You have to have a lot go wrong and some bad luck in there to get there, but they've spent very few amount of dollars. They traded away their best pitcher, Garrett Crochet. It's bold because they probably won't because they can't be bad. They can't be worse. They just can't be worse. The one team that might be as bad this year, although they have better pitching, is the Marlins. The Marlins, their president of baseball ops, Peter Bendix, who came from the Tampa Bay Rays. Not saying this is a bad thing. He looks like a nerd. Just Google him. He said, we will be a factor in free agency. You know how much money they've spent in free agency, and it's January 27th?
Very, very little, if any.
$0. $0 on a major league contract, which is embarrassing. So the Marlins might break that record as well.
You know, you brought up the Rays there for a second. That's one of the things I'm most intrigued about this MLB season. Is just seeing their environment of their home games.
Yeah. Them and Oakland, too, because Oakland will be in Sacramento.
Which they're just going by the Athletics, right? They're not the Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics.
Just the Athletics.
All right. Yeah. My first one tonight, Russell Wilson will be a Las Vegas Raider in 2025.
I feel like that's a pretty good, I would say that's bold, but an attainable bold prediction.
He wanted to be a Raider last year. Didn't happen. Now Pete's there. You know, there was a rumor 2 years ago when he went to the Broncos that the relationship wasn't good. Turns out to be false. They're pretty close still. Even if they want to draft Shadir at number 6, you got to have a veteran probably to help him out. So, it makes sense, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of Russell Wilson, this has to do with his what you will think will be former team. The Pittsburgh Steelers finished under 500 for the first time since 2003. They're due.
They are due.
Don't think they're very good.
They are due. They got to figure out if they don't keep Russell, they got to figure out the quarterback. I guess Justin Fields could technically be a Raider. I heard that rumor like a month ago, but I don't know if he's. I don't know about him. He's athletic, but I don't know about him. My next bold prediction for 2025: Rory McIlroy will win a major in 2025.
Oh, you can book it,
just not the Masters.
Well, you can book him wearing a major anyway. I'll take that. The Bears win the NFC North. Bold.
That is bold coming from you.
Yeah.
You trashed them quite a bit, including a little bit tonight.
Mm-hmm. I think Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson being a big Cubs fan plays a factor in that prediction as well. But they have the pieces. They have the draft capital. And if Ben Johnson can have an offense like he did in Detroit, I think they're very capable of doing that.
I finally got a baseball one. This is my 18th bold prediction 2025, and I think it's my first baseball one I've had on here. The Athletics will make the postseason.
That is bold.
And why I'm doing it, I was looking for a team that like not too many people think might make the postseason. And I was like, wow, after July 3rd, I think it was,
good.
They had a winning record.
Yeah, they have some young talent. Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker had a great year for them. They've made a few moves in the offseason that could have them at least in position to be talked about come August. I don't know if they'll be playoff good, but they were pretty solid after the All-Star break, which not many people thought they would be. So
it would be a cool story. It'd be that they're temporarily in Sacramento.
It would. I would hope they do the whole major league thing with the owner and try to kind of screw the owner over a little bit because that owner stinks. So
I had a Pittsburgh Steelers fan text me, said you should be fired or at least suspended for predicting that the Steelers will be under 500.
It's a bold prediction. That's what I'm saying. That's why I put it on there. But it remains to be seen because we're now 22 seasons of them.
Tomlin's pretty darn good.
500 or above. So that's why it's bold.
Yep.
Football one here. Aaron Rodgers decides to play in the NFL next year, but is traded.
All right. So one of us, well, I guess both of us could be wrong if he comes back as a Jet because one of my bold ones was he's going to retire.
Yeah.
Now you're saying he's going to come back but not be a Jet. Any idea where that could be if he's traded?
I was thinking the Raiders. Honestly.
Yeah. I could see it. Yeah. Who knows what Pete's got up his sleeve? Can't believe he was only gone for a year out of the league.
It felt like a lot more.
It did.
And he said he's still going to be a professor at USC too. So
that's cool. I didn't even know he was a professor. So
I don't know if they technically call him a professor, but he's teaching courses there.
So he's a Big Ten professor.
He's a Big Ten professor. Yeah.
Wow. My next one is baseball related again. Mike Trout will stay healthy for the entire season of 2025.
That might be the boldest one you've had yet.
I'm hopeful. I'm hoping.
I know.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, he hasn't had a full season since
2019.
I was going to say pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. Last one here is a Big Ten related one. I think we have turnover at least 4 schools as far as the head coach goes.
For basketball?
For basketball, sorry. I don't even think about football. In those 4 coaches, I think Mike Woodson, it would be a surprise if he's back at this point.
I think the nail went in the coffin yesterday.
I agree.
Unless they somehow get hot and make the tournament.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of season left for this one, but I think Fran McCaffrey's 15-year run is done. The fans have turned on him. They were very fortunate to beat Penn State the other night on Friday night. They were up. I went to bed, and they were up.
Yeah, I flipped it with 3 minutes left. I thought it was over.
They were up like 13 with like 4 minutes left. And when I woke up, my dad said, Iowa only won by 1, and Penn State had a chance at the buzzer to win. I'm like, oh, man. Yeah. But after their Minnesota loss at home, the talk got a little louder.
Which good for Ben Johnson, Minnesota. They're playing better.
I was just about to say Ben Johnson. They've won some games. They won in Iowa. They beat Oregon at home, beat Michigan. So they're in a real good stretch here. So obviously the season could take, and he could be one of them that's gone. I think watch for Mick Cronin to take a job somewhere else because I don't think he's liking it.
Out for the Big Ten.
At UCLA, he's whined about the travel so much already. And they've kind of underachieved so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take a job. Maybe Cincinnati's coach gets fired and he goes back there.
I don't even know who's coaching down there now.
Owen Miller, I think his name is. They came into the year ranked, but they had a trash non-conference schedule where they ran through it and they were up in I think the top 15, and now they're 2-6 or 2-7 in Big 12 play. So that's why I don't have any respect for these schools that play no one in the non-conference. Painter likes to play a bunch of tough opponents in non-con. Brad Underwood the same. Tom Izzo the same. Guys like Fran McCaffrey don't. So,
how about Hoiberg? I gotta think maybe it's time.
Maybe last year might have saved him, but they're sitting here at 2-7.
Yeah,
and
they don't look good at all.
On Thursday, they look bad on Sunday. I don't remember last time Illinois lost there. It's been a house of horrors for a lot of Big Ten.
God, I don't like going there.
Opponents.
God, I don't like going there.
I don't.
Careful what you wish for, J-Man.
Oh, no, I'm with you because I think it'll be a very close game and they'll probably lose. Illinois will because they're, again, still not healthy. And yesterday they played very well up until the final 3 minutes. I don't know if you watched the end of that one.
I didn't see any of that.
They were up 19 with 2 minutes and 54 seconds left. Next thing you know, it's like an 8-point game with 40 seconds left. And Underwood had yanked everyone. He put them all back in. He's screaming at them. So they played poorly at the end. So at least there's something to practice. There's something to get on them about. I don't think Illinois lost there since 2019 or 18.
Yeah, I hate playing there. Yeah, hate it.
They're usually close games. I mean, I remember watching one with you. Illinois was ranked 6th. And they were down the whole game, down 8 with about a minute and a half left, and somehow tied it and won in overtime. That wasn't a very fun experience, but they won. But maybe. I've seen a lot of Iowa fans say, "Hey, what about Hoiberg? He's an Iowa guy."
No. Yeah, but he played at Nebraska.
Yeah, that's the thing that doesn't make. No, did he?
Yeah. Yes.
I thought he was Iowa State because he was head coach at Iowa State.
I thought he was
Nebraska. I'm pretty sure he's Iowa State because he was the mayor there. They called him the mayor.
Oh, okay. Tyronn Lue played in Nebraska.
Yeah, he played in Nebraska.
But I'm not getting Tyronn Lue in for Hoiberg.
I hope not.
Even though their NBA career is pretty similar.
Yeah. Hoiberg was an Iowa State guy.
Tyronn Lue's the most famous for Allen Iverson walking over him.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yep. My last one is Scott McLaughlin will win the Indy 500.
There you go. You got it right. Was it last year you got it right?
Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago with Newgarden. Newgarden's went back to back. McLaughlin was a pole sitter last year, finished 6th. Before that, his best finish at Indy was 14th. So, if he's a pole sitter, he can do good enough to get up there on the pole again or close to it. And if you don't get wrecked, hang around there and see what happens. So.
I know as much about racing as I do cricket. So those.
I know a little more about racing than I do cricket, but
yeah,
still not a ton, especially IndyCar. So we got 5 more coming at you next week, and then our list will be done. Well, we've been coming up the last few weeks with our 25 bold predictions for 2025, and tonight we're on our final set of 5. And I text Webby earlier. I'm like, hey, you might want to brainstorm some of these because we're going to ask you.
Which set me into a panic.
Did not mean to do that. I could have just sprung it on you right now.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd be nice and give you a couple hours heads up.
The funny thing is I panic every single week when I'm doing this because I have a hard enough time coming up, and I've had to come up with 25 of them.
It was tough tonight for sure. Webby, you're a guest, so why don't you start with your first one?
All right. Something I tried to go like stupidly bold because some of these are downright dumb. But hey, that's what we're here to do. My first one, which may probably be my least bold one out of all 5 of these, is the Indiana Fever will win the WNBA title.
That is bold. I like it though.
Well, I saw they signed a veteran, a 6-year veteran.
They signed a veteran. Obviously, a year or 2 of Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White, Purdue alum and All-American, is back at the helm. So big things for the Indiana Fever this year, hopefully.
One of my bold predictions was almost that Caitlin would win MVP in just her second year, but I neglected to put it.
I almost included she was going to win, she was going to lead the league in scoring, assists, 3-point percentages, like a bunch of other stuff. I was going to get the title. J-Man,
you want to go with your first one tonight?
This might be the boldest of my 25 so far. Tua Tagovailoa plays all 17.
It's like my Mike Trout one last week.
Yeah.
All right. If he does that, I think Dolphins are going to be pretty good.
They better.
My first one tonight, I don't feel very confident about this, but I guess that's why it's bold. Nikola Jokic will win his 4th MVP in the last 5 years.
That's very bold.
He's number 2 right now in the betting odds behind SGA.
I was going to say, I think SGA will probably get
SGA.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't get hurt or anything, it's probably his. So, but Webby, what you got for number 2?
You're like this one. Barry Odom is going to just win over the hearts of every Purdue fan when he goes into Notre Dame on September 20th beats the Irish.
Sign me up a million times. Give me something to sign right now. If
Bold, you got it.
If Purdue went 1-11, that was their one. Okay, all right, I'd be good with that. I got a Purdue football one coming up in a little bit. So.
All of mine are terrible this week. Tyreek Hill is traded post June 1st. His cap hit goes lower on June 1st. And he did say today that he's committed and he just wants the Dolphins to get better, but quits on his team, fourth quarter, final game of the year. I say ship him out. I'm done with him.
If that happens, we both get one right, because that was my 7th one this year, was that he'd be traded before the start of the season. So
good job, Josh, on remembering that and having a repeat. Sorry, people.
Well, for some reason, I can't remember if you have something similar to this next one of mine or not. I was too lazy to go back and look. But Jeremiah Smith will win the Heisman Trophy.
I do not.
Okay. I thought you had something Heisman related. So, I don't know. It's pretty bold sophomore wide receiver, but he's a stud.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
All right. What I've got is within the first 8 picks of the draft, 4 are taken from the Big Ten. I think you can pencil in 3 pretty confidently between Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. I think Jonas is definitely a top 10, top 8 pick. But I had to go bold. It's like, who would be that 4th one? Like, maybe talk someone into a Derek Queen. He's the one I could really think of that was actually like.
Yeah. I was thinking Derek Queen would be the 4th.
Yeah. I felt 3 was a little too safe. I was like, yeah, no idea.
Anthony Leal. All right, Jamie, hit us with your next one.
The New York Yankees will miss the playoffs.
If that happens, is Boone fired?
Definitely. Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
I actually left that off this year. I did like 2 or 3 straight years that it'd be his last year. And
they lost Juan Soto. They picked up Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger as well. The pitching staff's really good. I'm talking myself into them winning 97 games now in my head after I'm doing this. But I gotta go bold.
I think that means you have both New York teams missing the playoffs.
I do.
The other one was
one of
the
my
Mets
first was the Mets miss.
Yeah. All right, my next one. I said I had a Purdue football one coming up. Here it is. Purdue football will regain the old Oaken Bucket.
Oh, that is bold.
I'm not saying they're going to make a bowl. I'm not saying that, but going to be nice.
I almost put the bucket game was going to be meaningful for both teams, like in the fact that like one team was fighting for a bowl and the other one was trying to obviously like step into the next direction, but I didn't put it.
Yeah, I'd sign up for that too.
Yeah.
But.
They go 2-10 and beat Notre Dame and Indiana.
Oh, sign me up. I'll sign right now. Lose to Southern Illinois and Ball State, but trade it for those two. Give it to me. After the embarrassment of those 2 final scores this year?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, my 4th one. This one is just kind of off the wall. I don't know why I thought of it, but here we go. The Final Four will not have a single team with the color blue as one of their main colors.
So no Duke.
So if you look at no UConn, no Kansas, they're kind of. I looked at the top 10, which like you look at the top 10 teams that include would be like Alabama make it, Tennessee, gross could make it. Like St. John's is like in the top 12, I think. Obviously Purdue's in there. I was like looking at like if you look at the last multiple champions, I think outside of Iowa State, Baylor, most champions have had blue in there. This was taken from a trivia question I remember doing in college at a trivia show in like 2013.
I like it.
That's a good one. Blue. Yeah.
There will be an NFL team go worst to first this year. I don't know if that's overly bold because the San Francisco 49ers qualify. But that would probably be the team I would say. I was looking at the teams yesterday. Browns aren't doing it. Raiders aren't doing it. Yeah, you hope not. I don't even remember who. Giants aren't doing it. Trying to think of all the divisions here.
Titans.
Saints aren't doing it. Panthers, whoever finished. Titans aren't doing it. Patriots maybe with Vrabel, but probably not.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty big step pretty fast.
It'd be a massive step up. But Niners are probably my only bet there.
Yeah, that's a good one. My next one: players from the PGA Tour will win all 4 majors.
Oh,
So that's probably wrong. I wanted to put a live guy that I couldn't think who, because I've already been on record saying Hovland's going to win the Masters. I said Rory's going to win one of the majors, just not the Masters. So I'm like, that leaves 2 majors left. I'll just say the PGA Tour guys will win them. So we'll see.
I have a hard time keeping who's in what.
Yeah,
straight.
it gets more difficult every year. And like I said, one of my other bold ones, my 5th one, was they will come to some kind of agreement or partnership by the end of the year. I think we're getting really close. It's just getting those final details figured out.
All right, my final one, and probably the one it's the most old one, the one I'm the most hopeful for. And the fact that the heavens open up and old man Jerry Reinsdorf puts the White Sox and Bulls up for sale.
You'll have a lot of listeners liking that one,
Yeah.
hoping it comes true.
Yeah.
It's needed to happen decade ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
My final one here, mercifully, this thing is over. Me, the J-Man, will finally break through and win our fantasy football league championship game this season. I've come close the past couple years. I don't know if Tanner's putting his headphones on now.
I could hear you. I could hear you the whole time.
All right.
Yep.
I've won the regular season 2 of the last 3 years, and then I've lost the title game this year.
You're the opposite of the Chiefs.
On the door.
I'm the opposite of the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm the Buffalo Bills. That's who I am. I'm the Buffalo Bills.
Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. The problem with our fantasy leagues, it's not a keeper league, so you got to start all over the next year, which makes it even more bold. So I'll probably go 2-14 this year. Whatever.
Have you ever been? Have either of you guys ever been in a keeper league?
I have not.
Nope.
I don't think I'll ever do one again. I was in one for like 3 or 8 years, and I did not enjoy it.
I know some people that love it, but it just there's like the money thing, like you got to buy players too.
Cap, you have to keep. Yep. It was just too much to think. Like you
and I co-owned a keeper baseball league, and I hated it.
Brutal.
That's brutal. That was brutal.
I can't do fantasy baseball. It's too much changing your lineup.
Yeah.
I reached June and I was like, I'm out.
I thought about this the other day. I've tried like fantasy everything over the years. I've done golf. I've done NASCAR. I did hockey. Hockey was the worst because I did know like 8 players. Yeah. The NASCAR and golf ones were tiered. Like a racer, A player, B, C, D. You can only pick so many in each category so many times throughout the year. So there was a lot of strategy involved in that one and a lot of luck. So my last one, everybody who's been a longtime listener to the show or viewer knew this was coming. The NBA will announce the return of the Seattle Supersonics.
There it is.
Yes. Yes. Come on. Announce it. Them in Vegas, and you move the Grizzlies to the East. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. And I will become a Sonics fan.
Fanatic.
And pay attention to the NBA, which
season tickets.
Don't know about that. Probably wouldn't even. Not even probably won't do the NBA season pass because it's expensive. But if they're on NBA TV, I'll watch.
They might be on the first few games just because it's cool to have them back.
Yeah, and then they're winning 17 games. And
I was gonna say they'll go 7 and whatever, 7 and 75. And you'll never see them on TV again.